Family is Brother Agyei Tyehimba from Harlem Liberation School, where we teach black people to wake up, clean up, and stand up. Well, family, by now you might have heard that my sixth book is now out and available. It is called Wukusu, a self-empowerment handbook. You can get it right on Amazon, or if you're so inclined, you can get it directly from me. To do that, you'd have to hit me up, leave a message or comment with an address. You have to send money to a cash app. That's another story. Um, so, family, it's come to my attention from reading a lot, watching some current events, being a part of the Chico La Kumbunga Brotherhood Group, which means Eye of the Storm Brotherhood Group. We're doing this big, guess you would call it a town hall meeting on August 24th. I will let you know soon how we're going to broadcast that live. And we're kind of talking about around kind of the issue of Project 2025, activating our people. Whether you're doing it because you heard about this Project 2025, this Republican plan to kind of usurp all the power of the government and give, whether you're a black woman tired of the patriarchy that you experience, a black parent fearful of the type of world your children will inhabit, a black worker upset and frustrated with the consistently low pay, being or underemployed, whether you're a black elder or a person that has disabilities or medical issues, and you're concerned that your medical insurance will be gone. You're concerned that you won't have anyone to take care of you. You're concerned that you won't be able to afford medications you need. You're a black teen, you're watching the news, you're constantly seeing how young people and millennials are being mistreated, mishandled, and murdered by police officers around the country for whatever reason. Black people, we got to get activated, and we have to do so with a sense of urgency. And there's a difference. You always know when someone moves with a sense of urgency. Urgency means what? You move like there is no tomorrow. You don't say, I'm going to get to you, I'll do that next week. You're assuming there may not be a next week, so you're moving urgently with great speed and momentum and intensity. It means that you're not putting off dreams to 50 years from now. You say, well, I may not be here in 50 years. I may not be here in a week. So you're moving with urgency. 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 It does not mean you move hastily or impulsively without thought, right? Without serious critical thinking. You give serious thought, you do some research, but ultimately you move with urgency. We don't have time for procrastination. We don't have time for the woulda, coulda, shoulda. If I would have done this, I could have been, I should have been, I would. No. Whatever is on your mind to do, whatever is on your mind to do, whatever is on your heart to accomplish, do it now. Stop this. Oh, yeah, when I'm 35, no. And I'm talking specifically not about idle ideas, selfish. I'm talking about movement-related things. So, for instance, you may say, well, Agyei, how would I know the things that I feel the most about that I should urgently move on? Well, the things that bother you. When you go through your community, when you're in your church, when you're in your mosque, your temple, you walking down the street, when you see the kids, you see how the elders relate to each other, you see how the community communicates or fails to. You go to the supermarket, you're buying things. What are your experiences? You go to the library, you see the books, I don't see the books. How do you feel? What are the things that tick you off? What are the things that upset you? What are the things that you can't stop thinking about? The things you go home, you talk to your partner, your wife, your husband, your kids. You on the phone with your friends, say, I don't know what's going on with our youth, but I'm seeing a lack of respect. Or you say, I don't know what's going on with black people, but they're not taking this project 2025 seriously. Or you might say, I was on the street and I saw some black Hebrew Israelites and I saw some black Muslims and I saw some black nationalists, and they weren't getting along. They were all arguing over ideology. And that bothers me because I know, whereas we may all see each other as different and we may all see ourselves as separate tribes, there are people who see us all as Iggers. There are people who are out to destroy all of us, regardless of what we call ourselves. So it's the thing that bothers you most is your spiritual nudge that that's the thing you should do something about. That's the cause you should get involved in. With me, it's always been, man, knowledge. It's always been education and miseducation. If we knew better, we'd have a fighting chance. If we knew better, we would stop participating in self-defeating behaviors and toxic thoughts, self-defeating thoughts. If we knew better, we would eat differently. If we knew better, we would defend our communities. If we knew better, we would teach our people differently. If we knew better, we wouldn't rely on their systems, but our own, and we would build our own. So for me, it's always been this educational piece, and the need to resist has always been important for me. So the message today is pretty simple and straightforward. It is when you look in your society, your neighborhood, your organization, your family, and whatever burns you up the most, whatever lights your fire and gets you upset and concerned, that's probably something you should address. If you don't know, you learn it. If you know it, but you feel overwhelmed, you link up with other people who know and who share your concern. You research, you organize, you study, and you do something about the thing that's bothering you. Because if it's bothering you, chances are it's bothering dozens, hundreds, thousands, or even millions of other people, right? And if it's bothering you enough, you might even say, you know what? I need to join an organization that already exists of people who are bothered by the same thing that bothers me, that's trying to do something about it. If you look in the community, say, wow, no such organization exists that talks about policing our own community. No such organization exists, you may say, that addresses miseducation in the public school system. No other organization exists that's creating African-centered, culturally affirming, academically rigorous schools. So that in those cases, when the thing that bothers you, you see there's no community outcry, there's no community movement around it, that may mean you need to create it. You say, well, I don't know how to. Okay, fine. So you get with people who do. Get with people who share your disdain and discomfort around certain issues, your righteous indignation. And from that core group of people, you have the foundations of people who will start a school. I worked at a school back in 1997. I started classroom teaching, the New York City Board of Education. By 1997, 98, I was in a new, really high-performing school for black and brown kids. The problem with that school was, it was getting kids into these prep schools, getting them scholarships to these really fancy schools, giving them a rigorous education, teaching them the basics of study. But the way those teachers spoke to our kids was terrible. It was egregious. They participated in educationally unsound practices that were demeaning and that, in my opinion, racist as well. So myself, a brother named Richard Tanko, a Vietnamese sister named Yao Phan, disgusted with the treatment of our kids, upset. It upset us. We always find ourselves complaining, man, did you see what he did? Did you see what this one did? Did you see how that student cried? And one day we were so fed, we're going to do something about it. So we researched different things, and before you knew it, we teamed up, got with a program We started a new middle school, family, back in the year 2000 called Knowledge and Power Preparatory Academy. The theme of the school, the motto, came straight from Brother Malcolm X. Education is our passport to the future. And we went about this job of educating our kids radically different from everybody else at the time. We named our classes after qualities, not numbers, right? Or Ivy League schools like some of the charter schools do now. No, we named our classes after qualities. So we had dignity, compassion, honesty. You see what I'm saying? Pushing certain values. When it was time for classes to change, we didn't use these loud, annoying bells. We used jazz music or reggae music or traditional African music to say, over the loudspeaker to say, this is when the classes change. So it was culturally affirming, rigorous education, but we hired very unique teachers. We were looking for people who were dynamic. They could be young, they could be older, but they had to be dynamic. They had to love kids. They had to love black and brown people. And they had to love teaching. And in the first year or two of that school that we started, 3 of us started because we were disgruntled with the school we worked in. So it started from what? We were upset. We were righteously indignant. It doesn't make sense that you trying to tell me in order to get our kids to do well in life, go to college, we got to demean them? No, there got to be a better way than that. No, none of us went to school and studied how to create a school. Not one of us did. Not one of the 3 of us. But we were so incredulous at the way this school we were working at was treating our kids. We said, we got to do something. We started a school, and in the first 2 years of that school, Knowledge and Power Preparatory Academy, in the Bronx, New York, where it is still located, still running, outperformed 88% of every middle school in the entire state of New York. That's saying something. This is what happens when you take your righteous indignation and instead of just stewing away and rotting and getting upset and grumbling about it, you do something about it and you move with urgency. You move like there is tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I remember us having our initial meetings, me, Richitenko, and Yao Fan. And I remember us being really upset, not liking the way some of these teachers were talking to our kids, not liking the logic they present. Well, we got to do that so that they be tough. It's like, nah, that's not how you toughen people up. You don't demean people. This ain't the military. This is school. This ain't the prison system. This is school. And I would argue even in the prison system, in the military, there's a way you go about doing things so as not to crush a person's spirit. And I remember us all thinking we got to not only get out of here, we got to create an alternative. It's not enough for us just to be upset. We have to create something we feel is better, something that meets our criteria of what an educationally sound school looks like. And we moved with urgency, meeting every day. After school, teaching and then meeting. Next day, we're teaching all day, then we're meeting. Next day, we're teaching all day, and then we're meeting. Next day, Monday to Friday, for a good year. Linked up with Columbia University, got some research, did some different things, and before you know it, we found a location for the school, did our paperwork, and before you know it, Knowledge and Power Preparatory Academy was born. I just got a message through LinkedIn from a former student today. I just went to Brooklyn a few months ago after talking with a former student from Kappa, Knowledge and Power Preparatory Academy, about 5 months ago. She's now a principal. We met her as a 5th grader, taught her from 5th to 8th grade because it's middle school. She's now a principal of her own school in Brooklyn and doing wonderful work. So we got people that came out of that school, black and brown kids from the continent, the motherland, kids from Latin America, kids from right in the neighborhood, kids that were barely at reading level, kids that were way below reading level and brought them up. And that came not because we knew every single thing about being a good teacher and starting a school. It came from we loved our kids, we valued our kids, we wanted the best education for our kids, and we were disgruntled with the education they were getting. We were disgruntled by the way they were being treated. We were disgruntled by the lack of proper, what you might call classroom management. And our righteous indignation is what led us to do what we had to do to provide an alternative for our kids. I'm proud to say many of those kids have graduated. This is back 24 years ago. That school has been up now. And we got some beautiful parents, activists, community leaders, teachers, administrators of schools and of hospitals, all types of beautiful adults were molded and shaped, obviously in the homes of their parents and in their communities, but also in our school that we created. And that school came from righteous indignation and from moving with urgency. You'll be surprised what things open up to you, what opportunities present themselves to you when you have righteous indignation. I'm not talking about you're bitter because somebody did this and somebody said that. I'm talking about you're looking in your supermarket and you tired of people who don't look like you, who don't respect you when you shop there, exorbitant prices. Shit is 2 and 3 times what it should be, and you know it, and they know it. And they're increasingly not having the ingredients, the foods that you use at your dinner table or breakfast table. I'm talking about you going to these laundromats and they don't have the proper supplies. The machines ain't working. They open at weird hours. I'm talking about you going to police precincts. You complain about some problem. You calling the police and you got to fear for your life. You calling the police for help and you got to fear that when they come, they ain't even going to kill you. So you talk with people about it. You rally people around it. You organize people, and now you do something. See, our problem is not that we're not upset. A lot of us are upset with what we see as the governmental apparatus, the way some of these agencies and its agents treat us. So a lot of us are upset with how the police interact with us in the community. A lot of us are upset with a lot of things we see. The institutions in our communities, some of the churches we feel are just teaching about Jesus, 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 but ain't helping us on this earth to move the way we need to move. A lot of us upset and have righteous indignation, but we're not doing anything about it. We're not seeing it as urgent. And what I'm simply suggesting, take it from righteous indignation, take it from the barbershop complaining, the beauty salon complaining, the in your living room complaining, the calling your family members around the country complaining. Take it from just that to a collective movement. You upset with the education your kid is receiving? Good. You should be. Because chances are, if it's like most schools in this country, it is subpar education. It's terrible classroom management. The disciplinary system is terrible. It's punitive. It's overly aggressive, right? So do something about it. If you feeling that strongly about it, there's probably other brothers and sisters that are feeling that way. Organize with them. Learn what you need to learn, do what you need to do, and start an alternative school. At the minimum, get the people in that dysfunctional school, kick them out of there, get them removed and replaced with people who are more humane and who love children and who are educationally sound. One or the other. You may want to look at an existing institution and reform it. Some of you may say, I'm not trying to reform that thing. I'm going to start something alternative. Either way, but we got to move from simply being upset to do something about this. That's why Harlem Liberation School, as an example, we are righteously indignant around this issue of this Project 2025 and the book it created called Mandate for Leadership. And its assertion that if a Republican president gets in power in November, that by January, they're going to remove the Board of Education. They're going to remove the legislative protections that prevent big pharmaceutical companies from charging whatever they want for medications, so that people who depend on some type of medication for their physical health will have an increasingly difficult time to afford their medication. This plan is talking about if they get a Republican in office as president, Trump namely, that they're going to make it exceedingly more difficult for poor people, working class people, to afford a college education for their kids. They're talking about getting rid of hundreds of thousands of black people and brown people who work in governmental jobs, city jobs, federal jobs. And instead of it going by a civil service exam testing your knowledge and ability, it's going to go by if you're loyal or not to the president family. Yeah. We're talking about kicking a lot of people off social services. So if you receive food assistance, what we used to call food stamps, if you receive medical insurance, or we used to Medicaid, or any number of things, people getting cut off and making it increasingly difficult for people to access those things. So we're talking, and we're also talking about a plan the Republicans have, Project 2025, where they are also talking about putting all the power of the three branches of government in the hands of the executive branch. In other words, there'll be no more check and balance system. All the power will rest with the president to do as he or she wants, effectively creating a dictatorship, family. And I know this sounds crazy, you think it's alarmist, but if you go type Project 2025 and look at the actual book and read through those different sections, you'll see these are actual policies they got ready to go. As soon as the president gets in, the first 180 days of office is his playbook, right? So what's important to understand, some of our major movements in this country and other countries came from people who were disgruntled, people who were full of righteous indignation at the way women were treated. Had a women's movement, black people were treated. We have the civil rights, and followed by the Black Power movement. More recently, the Black Lives movement. All these different people who were disgruntled, who were fed up with the way they were treated, who were fed up by being discriminated against, fed up by being oppressed and repressed and mishandled and mistreated. And they didn't just stay upset. They did something with that righteous indignation. They met and they had political discourse or discussion, and they allowed people to vent. What is it you don't like? Why don't you like it? Who's responsible? What can we do? What role can we play in eliminating it? And that's how movements are born. I am really putting a call to action. If you're watching or listening, I know people come on here and they troll, no problem. But those who are seriously watching and listening, I hope that in your church, your synagogue, your mosque, your Masonic lodge, your college fraternity or sorority meetings, I hope that in your teachers unions and workers unions and in your homes, you're going to really be talking to your families, your coworkers, your classmates, your students, your teachers about the need for us to organize, to eliminate injustices we see, or to create alternative institutions to give us the proper goods and services we need and want. Because simply getting mad and simply talking about how bad Trump is, that's doing nothing. Trump's people are moving actively with urgency to push their crazy ideas and to get those crazy, and I might say oppressive and fascist ideas codified in a culture. They're moving as if there is no tomorrow. They're not waiting till, we're going to meet 3 years from now. They're meeting right now. They're moving. They're producing books and playbooks for how they want to move. Where's our playbook, black people? Where's our independent black political party, black man and woman? Where are independent African-centered schools that are academically rigorous and culturally connected and affirming with a more humane sense of discipline? Where are our credit unions, black men and women, when we need to borrow money for our businesses or personal goals? Where are our financial institutions? Where are our community policing organizations, militias, whatever you want to call it, that provide protection for people? The Second Amendment gave you the right for that. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Don't just complain, put something there or reform what's already there to work more efficiently and effectively for you and us, or create something alternative to that. But we have to do something. We have to activate ourselves immediately, and we have to move with urgency, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. With that said, thank you so much for listening and watching, family. And I want to say Black Power, on the 13th of August, which I believe is Tuesday or Wednesday, we are interviewing my good brother Knowledge Bonala. He's a writer, he's a producer, he's doing a documentary, he's doing big things, ebooks. He'll be talking to us on the 13th at 7 p.m. I also want to remind you that I have a new book out, my 6th book. This book is called Wukusu, a self-empowerment handbook. It is specifically for anyone who's trying to improve themselves. It is more specifically trying to reach Black people. And it will help you identify who you are, what you're here to do, your unique gifts. It will help you identify the things about your character and your behavior that are not desirable. And it has activities to help you to do better and to be better, and to help you stand up and become an empowered person, not only in your home and in your personal relationship for yourself, but also become a community steward that goes out and intervenes in the lives of our village members and raises up the village as well. So I hope you will get that. It's on sale on Amazon right now for $13.99. Cop that book, family. Let's get right and let's do right. Peace and Black Power. Have a beautiful day.